He's like, that's a compliment. Saying you're doable? Ryan, you're doable.
You're doable, Rob.
Thank you.
I do you.
I do you. I do me.
I do me.
Welcome to Theoretical Nonsense, the Big Bang Theory watch-along podcast. No PhD required.
We're the podcast that recaps all the episodes of The Big Bang Theory. No spoilers.
So hop into your favorite spot.
Make yourself a grasshopper
And enjoy the ride. Hello there, Ryan.
Hello, Rob.
How are you doing?
Pretty well. How about yourself?
I'm wonderful because we just watched the Killer Robot Instability.
Yeah, we did.
For any new listeners out there, I'm Rob, and this is my co-host Ryan. We are Theoretical Nonsense, the podcast that recaps, reviews, and deep dives facts from the Big Bang Theory, which we call IQ points. I've seen the series multiple times, but this is Ryan's first time watching, so we do our best to do no spoilers. And Ryan has also been told that he's very similar to Sheldon, so we keep a point tally of how close Ryan is to being a Sheldon. Where are we at?
Right now, we are 53 points, not like Sheldon, 49 being like Sheldon. And this has kind of gone back and forth this season, so we got a few more points coming in this episode.
I look forward to it. But before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping. For anybody interested in following us on social media, follow the link on our show notes. There you'll also find our whole list of IQ points from previous episodes. So feel free to check that out, follow along, and enjoy. Our Instagram account is at Theoretical Nonsense Pod. And also, we're on YouTube. Like and subscribe. And shoot us an email at theoreticalnonsensepod@gmail.com. And if you give us a 5-star review, we'll give you a shout out.
I haven't seen any new reviews lately. I'm hoping you get out there and give us a review. We're looking forward to it.
Well, I was actually doing some brainstorming, and I was thinking about like having maybe like a giveaway or something like that, like for now and for like the next like couple months or something like that. Collect some 5-star reviews. We'll take the current 5-star reviewers plus any additional ones and do a raffle and do a giveaway. That's what I was like. We'll have to think of some stuff or something to give away. A small little investment, but to get us some more reviews, that might be worth it.
Like send them a brisket.
Ooh, who wants a brisket? We will make Rebecca's brisket and ship it to you.
Guys, you didn't even refrigerate it. You just sent it.
There are no ice packs in here. It's slow cooking in the heat, in the summer heat.
We cooked it by U.S. mail.
So it's going to be late then.
It's going to be late.
Burn.
But tender.
Well, we'll think of something. But just a thought. More details on that later. But all right. Also, no neighbor update so far. So if anybody's interested in true crime, check out our episode 22, which was season 2, episode 4, The Griffin Equivalency. The first about 45 minutes, I go over a true crime incident that happened to me. So if anything, check that out.
I was going to say our episodes have been a little bit shorter lately, and I think it's because that true crime incident, it was worth talking about. It took up some time.
It's been, all the updates have been eating up a lot of time.
Yeah, but they're worth it. Man,
yeah.
I look forward to hearing when you hear something. So,
but I do have a new neighbor already moved in. And I have no idea if they know what happened in the house. I have no idea. I introduced myself, and that was really it. So it's like, well, should I break this to them?
You don't like hear voices in the middle of the night or like scratching or see apparitions, do you? No, why?
Good.
No, that's good. It's good.
No reason why. I just like scary movies.
Gotta go.
Anyways, bye. But all right, shall we just get into the episode?
Yeah.
Any overall thoughts?
You know, I would like to see Howard's character progress, and sometimes he falls back into his old habits, and that's kind of getting a little tiresome. But overall, I thought the episode was funny.
It was a funny episode. I found a lot of laugh out loud moments. I really liked the overall story of it. I liked the A plot and the B plot.
Yeah,
The A plot being the whole Penny and Howard issue.
predicament. Yeah,
Yeah, just like that, like because it's like you said, like we need Howard to see a little bit of growth, and
yeah.
this is kind of that kick in the ass that he kind of needed.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if it sticks, though.
Yeah, I'm hoping. And there's been a couple of episodes where he seems to have a little bit of growth, but at the end of this one, yeah, I don't want to ruin spoilers. Like it kind of leaves it up for questions. Like, it's just, but yeah, I prefer some character development as opposed to just completely saying, this episode didn't matter or whatever.
Yeah, like we hope to see something come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I like the robot fighting stuff too.
I
That, of
love
course.
robot fighting. Oh, I was gonna say too, I didn't have that many IQ points for this one.
I didn't either. I think I only had I found three things to
I
talk about.
tried to have four, but it turned out to be three.
Mm.
And they're pretty intermingled. So,
So you just kind of combined them.
yeah,
You Captain Planted them.
yeah, I Captain Planeted the IQs.
Yeah. Well, all right, let's dive in. This is season 2, episode 12, The Killer Robot Instability. Aired January 12th, 2009, written by Chuck Lorre, Bill Prady, and teleplay by Stephen Molaro. And directed, as always, by Mark Sandrowski. And this is the first episode going into the new year, going into 2009.
Yeah, because
So coming off that Christmas
Christmas,
episode.
yeah.
Yep.
Which
Yeah.
thinking about it for the past 2 weeks, I still think that was a solid Christmas episode. And you asked me if it's going to go into my general holiday rotations of episodes. I think so. Like, I kind of want to rewatch it again already.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
Yeah. I was thinking about Penny drinking the eggnog that the nog ran out about 30 minutes ago. It's all just rum. That's funny.
I've always wanted to, side note, I've always wanted to make my own eggnog. Have you ever done that? Like with all the different alcohols and real eggs?
I've never done it, but I've wanted to as well. I've been nervous because it's raw eggs, right?
Yeah. There's enough alcohol in it.
Kill off the bacteria.
Yeah, I have my eggs pretty over easy anyways, so.
That's fair.
Well, maybe this year.
Maybe this year, yeah.
All right, back to the episode.
Back to the episode.
All right, so opening scene, you see the guys are working on a robot. They are working on the Mobile Omnidirectional Neutralization and Termination Eradicator, also known as Monty. And Monty
has a name.
Yes. And Monty is equipped with a razor-sharp killing saw, polycarbonate grinding and flipping wheel, steel armor plate exoskeleton, top and bottom, enough horsepower to drive 110 pounds of mechanized death from 0 to holy crap in 4.8 seconds. And then it dawned on me, I was like, wait, are they saying that Monty is 110 pounds?
Like, yeah, I think so.
It seems very excessive for like how little it really is. It must be a dense little guy.
Yeah, from the weight classes, I didn't write them down, but like apparently Battlebots have weight classes, and the heavyweight is like 80 pounds and above or something.
Yeah, I didn't do. I actually got information on that as well, so we will get to that when the time comes.
They're small, but I was kind of impressed, I guess, that they can weigh that much. Like you said, they're dense, and yeah, I guess when you have like a buzzsaw attached to it,
and the batteries and everything like that.
Yeah, batteries get kind of heavy, so
yeah. So maybe, but it just seemed like, wow, 110 pounds.
Mm-hmm. It's like a child, like a big child, right?
It's like a big child. Well, the guys are in complete awe, and now they want to destroy something. They have to test out Monty's true capabilities. So Raj suggests the Magic 8 Ball. But Sheldon poo-poos on this, and he ruins it by telling him that the inners are just icosahedral dye floating in a tinted blue water. And Raj gets mad that he didn't call spoiler. So this goes into my first IQ point
Uh,
about the Magic 8 Ball.
Really quick, I'm giving a point for being like Sheldon because
you ruin things.
I ruined things. I ruined them all. I as a kid, I also took a Magic 8 Ball apart and know exactly what's inside it.
All right, so you should know all this stuff then. This is probably going to be a little redundant for you then, but it was new for me because I never really put that much thought into it.
Oh, no, I needed to know what was inside, and yeah. But the thing is, like, there's like a cylinder with the liquid and the dice in it, and getting that cylinder open is pretty tough. Like, getting the actual 8 ball apart is easy, but it's what's inside, getting that apart is tough.
So you took it apart like piece by piece and tried to like dismantle it. I feel
Yeah.
like as a child I would have just smashed it.
I think I did that, and then I tried to smash the cylinder, and that wouldn't smash. I think I ended up trying to cut it open, and I gave up. I got bored. But I knew what was in it, and that's what mattered. I'd seen the insides.
I know. I know what your insides look like.
They're so blue.
Well, this IQ point does start off with like the framework of the Magic 8 Ball, but then it goes into a little nugget of information that like it spiraled me down something that I did not think I was going to go down, which I found interesting.
So, completely off topic. This is how you play pool.
No. It's actually about the color blue.
Oh.
Yeah, didn't see that one coming.
I was going to say, I think it took me till I was like a teenager to realize when they say Magic 8 Ball that the 8 ball was supposed to be like an 8 ball from pool. Like, I had no idea. Like, I'm just like, why is there an 8 on this ball? Like, it didn't make sense.
I've honestly always wanted a Magic 8 Ball as a kid, but I just never got it. I did have a little keychain version of it, but it just wasn't the same because I remember going to my other friend's house and just having like the big ball to hold on to and shake and twist and everything like that. That was so cool.
I imagine the little one like probably doesn't have as many answers either. Like every time you shake it, it's like no. No.
That's the only answer it was.
It's got one answer.
So then you have to be very strategic of how you ask the questions. A lot of double negatives.
I was going to say a lot of double negatives there.
Well, anyways, back to the Magic 8 Ball.
Yeah.
So this is the breakdown. What's inside the Magic 8 Ball? And I found this on magic8ball.com. Go figure. Wikipedia and businessinsider.com. So a Magic 8 Ball is made up of 4 components. The first is the main circular shell, made up of 2 halves glued together. The second part is a clear plastic container held with a support disc. The third component is a blue dye liquid inside the cylinder. And the last component is a white message-bearing dye floating in the blue dye. So the first 2 components are pretty self-explanatory. A main circular shell and the plastic container with the support disc.
Those come apart pretty easily.
Yeah. So I'm moving on into the third one, which is the blue dye. This is kind of where it got a little interesting. So Sheldon is correct. It is a blue dye in an alcohol base. But then I went down the spiral of why is it blue?
Yeah.
Why blue? So, and I came across this theory online, and the theory says that they were very strategic about it, that most color scientists claim that blue is not a color. It's a mystery. The color blue, and in turn the Magic 8 Ball itself, is associated with intuition, imagination, inspiration, wisdom, intelligence, trust, and sincerity, which is everything that we look for in a Magic 8 Ball, and more. So that's why the mystery of blue was chosen.
Oh.
But honestly, realistically, a better theory is that it's just because you could read the white dye better.
That makes sense.
Realistically, too. It's probably that. But this is where I fell down the rabbit hole. As I read that sentence, I was like, wait, is color really not Is the color blue not really a color?
Yeah, I'm curious about this now.
So I started like hunting and everything for it. So, and this is a preemptive apology to our friend Rick because he doesn't like it when we deviate from things not related to the story, and this is very unrelated to even the IQ point.
Well, I'm
So,
wearing a blue shirt right now, and I'm like, is it a fake? Am I not wearing a shirt at all? Like, I have questions.
yeah. But I thought that this was pretty fascinating. So, is color blue an actual color? So it turns out that the concept of blue is a relatively new thing. Ancient languages did not have a word for blue, so the world didn't recognize it as a color. This was realized by scholar William Gladstone in 1858, who would later become Prime Minister of Great Britain. While reading Homer's Odyssey, where he described the wine dark sea rather than blue or green. After that, he noticed many odd references to color, so he started counting all the references to color. Black is mentioned almost 200 times, white about 100, red 15, yellow and green fewer than 10. Then he looked at other ancient Greek texts, and there he noticed blue is never mentioned. The word didn't exist. From there, philologist Lazarus Geiger expanded his search and noticed that this phenomenon was happening across many other cultures. He studied Icelandic sagas, the Quran, Chinese stories, ancient Hebrew and Hindu Vedic hymns, and again, no mentioning of the color blue. The only ancient culture with the word for blue was Egypt. We discovered that without having a name for a color, it didn't exist. So I thought that was kind of funny that that's why there's a reference for blue not being a color.
So they take it as like a type of purple or a
They,
violet.
I don't know. It
I
just
don't
had no
know. Just
reference to it. Even like no one ever described the sky, or when they did describe the sky, it wasn't using the word blue. So because they didn't have a word for it, they didn't know how to describe it, thus it didn't exist. Thus it wasn't a real color. Which is kind of like the weird concept of it all.
Yeah.
But I kept so I found that, but then I kept searching based on it being a color related to science, and I couldn't find anything. So I'm not really sure what that article what meant. Like it being like this mystery that science doesn't classify it as a color, so that's why they used it.
That's because as prime colors go, right? You get
Yeah, it's actually one of the original. It actually is one of the base colors according to
yeah.
science. That's why I found it so weird. I spent so much time on this IQ point, and for it to not really answer that question was a little frustrating.
Like I know, it
But I
reminds me
did,
of. Oh,
but I
sorry.
did. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, but it is fascinating that the whole concept of words and the existence of concepts based on that word was really fascinating.
Yeah. I was gonna say that I've heard about this with orange. That orange technically wasn't a color; it was like a shade of yellow, I think. And the color orange is named after the fruit orange. So technically, like everybody thinks that the color is why we call oranges because they're the color orange. But technically, people were eating that fruit for a while, and then like, you know what? We should just name this color. And what should we name it? Orange, because that's the fruit. So, yeah, it's weird that people just didn't have names. I guess I don't know. Crayola like names colors left and right, so it's boggling to my
Yeah.
mind that they didn't have
Well, if
names
you ever
for
have to paint your house and you look at colors, there's 1,000 names for blue
right.
now.
Yeah. Wow. Huh.
But
But
I
like
found that interesting.
you said that they
Yeah.
in the Odyssey they called it the
It was
dark wine.
the wine dark sea.
Wine dark sea. So it's got to be like it was a shade of purple or something. That's what
Yeah.
or What color is the sky, Mom? Don't look at it. We have to
Just
ignore it.
don't even look at it. Keep your
It
head to
doesn't
the ground.
exist. Cool.
And then, all right, so now finishing up Magic 8 Ball, the last piece of the Magic 8 Ball is the floating die. And as for the floating die, it is 20 sided with 10 affirmative answers, 5 non committal, and 5 negative. And that's a Magic 8 Ball. Took some twists and turns, but now we know what it's all about.
I like that. I always assumed the blue stuff was like the blue stuff at barbers have for their combs.
I don't go to the barber, so I don't know.
Oh, you've
I
never
don't.
seen like
I don't do that sort of thing. My wife's a hairstylist, so
and we can't be friends anymore, Ryan. You are one of those times.
Oh, you pay for a haircut?
They typically have these like jars, and they're filled with like a blue. I forget what it's called, but some sort of like not deodorizer. It's sanitizer for like killing lice. And they put their spoons, their scissors in it, and their combs, and it like sanitizes everything.
God,
And,
could you imagine being a barber and then like just combing someone's hair and then just seeing a bunch of lice? I'm just gonna dip this in the blue thing and call it good.
Barbicide, that's what they call it. Barbicide.
Oh.
But I remember there's an episode of Pete and Pete from Nickelodeon where he's trying to get his barber to talk and finally does. And I just remember there's a montage of them laughing and joking around, and they like take the barbicide and like start drinking it at like one point. I'm like, oh god. But basically that's what it reminded me of, is like a dark blue type of dye color. But I never got it open to drink it, so I don't know. Probably a good thing, but
one day. You'll get there one day. You know what? It's good to have dreams.
Right? Goals. It's all about goals. Yeah. I feel like this is an obtainable goal. Something I can actually do. Drink the 8-ball juice.
Yes. All right. So, well, all right. Now Leonard suggests the toaster, but Sheldon doesn't like this idea. Sheldon's like, "Well, what did the toaster ever do to you?" And Leonard says, "Well, what did I ever do to Jimmy Mullins in the 3rd grade? He still punched me in the face with my own fists." So then, safety first, they all put their goggles on, and then die, toaster, die.
I like that. Die, toaster, die. We need some words for this moment.
Yeah.
Die, toaster, die.
And then they cut to Penny coming up the stairs, and Monty just comes flying through the door.
That made me laugh. She's on the phone, just like, I'm probably just gonna stay in.
And then it's the opening credits. And now, next scene, we see Howard analyzing the broken door. And it's, oh yeah, it got the full Monty.
The full Monty.
Then they let Penny in on what's going on. And apparently she's never heard of the Southern California Robot Fighting League Round Robin Invitational. Duh. Come on, Penny.
So I did some research on this one. You did too?
Yep. This opens up a flood of questions.
Yeah.
So many things to go into. Do you want to go first? Since I took the last
sure. One? I'm thinking, where do I start with this? But you're right. First of all, from what I could find, what they call it later, Scrifflurry, the Southern California Robot Fighting League Round Robin Invitational, is not a real thing.
Squirrelflurry,
right?
Yeah.
As far as I could look up, everything that I found was just connected to Big Bang Theory about it. That's not to say there are leagues and other challenges, so there's probably something like that called in Southern California, just not this particular one. I also didn't realize that Round Robin was the name of like a type of competition.
I've done Round Robin tennis tournaments before, so it's just when you play, everybody plays each other.
Yeah, I thought that was the name of the invitational, so I was Googling round robin for a while,
Oh,
and I'm like,
yeah.
wait, this is just like a general term for a competition style, and
Yeah, which didn't make sense at the time, like, as I watched this, because it's like, how do you have a fighting one that's a round robin?
because once you destroy the robot, it's not coming
Yeah,
back to face everybody else.
but I will say that I think they handled that very well with Kripke saying there's no guarantee that we'll fight each other in the round robin
Yeah,
because
that
one
good
of them
point.
could die.
Yeah. And so I started looking into Battlebots because this is the show that I know and grew up with of robot fighting. And as far as I know, most of it is about uh, getting points by hitting the other robot, by attacking them, not necessarily destroying them, because most of them didn't destroy each other, but that was like a KO, right?
Yeah.
Incapacitating. That's what I was going to say. Incapacitating. But BattleBots was a show that started off in 2000, and it was kind of going on this momentum of fighting robots. And from 2000 to 2002, there were 5 seasons on Comedy Central. I'm getting this from Wikipedia. ABC then picked up season 6 and 7 from 2015 to 2016. So there's kind of like this hiatus there. And for some reason, I thought it went on the whole time, but apparently almost 15 years went by and ABC picked it up. I used to watch it on Comedy Central. Then Discovery picked it up for seasons 8 through 12. And that went from 2018 to the beginning of this year. It's still on, apparently. So I also read that there are 2 spin-offs, one called BattleBots Bounty Hunters, and from my understanding, this show were people competing against each other to fight against some of the top robots from the original BattleBots. And then BattleBots Champions, and I couldn't really find out much information on that either. But yeah, my perspective of the show, I was going to say that I was surprised, and I would often get bored with it because the number of robots that were just aimed at flipping others over got too high for me. Like every single competition was basically just like something that would look like a forklift, and it would try to go underneath the other robot and just flip it. Because if you flipped it, you won. It couldn't get back on
It's
its feet, right?
incapacitated.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is just a bunch of flipping robots chasing each other around. I want to see blow torches and chainsaws, right? And
Yeah, I remember dropping it from Comedy Central just because of that too. It's like it got really like repetitive.
yeah,
It's like they're like, where's the creativity? Where's the real destruction?
where's the fire? So yeah, I did that, and then later on I have an IQ point, separate IQ point about the rules of such tournaments. So I'm going to wait on the rules until then. Yeah, but that's my IQ point on the competition in BattleBots.
Nice. Well, I'll piggyback off this a little bit. I actually did. I deep dove a little bit into the origins of
Oh,
robot fighting, and I actually found something similar to their location of what they could have been referencing,
uh-huh.
possibly, but not really. But so history of robot fighting. So, according to Wikipedia, it actually originated in 1986, and it was by a group called the Denver Mad Scientist Society, and it held its first competition in 1987 called the Critter Crunch. From there, it expanded internationally, and the first Robot Olympics were held in Glasgow, Scotland in 1990. And like we said, it's still very popular now. It's still being televised based because BattleBots are still around.
Yeah.
But its UK counterpart was Robot Wars, and that ended in 2018.
Mm.
And the league that I found that I wasn't sure if they were referencing or if they like inspired by it. This was on the. It's called the Southern California First Tech Challenge, created in 2004. Formerly, it was called the VEX Challenge, and this is one of 4 robot leagues by the organization First. It's
Mm.
a nonprofit organization to help develop students, um, technical and interpersonal skills through robot fighting competitions. But it's grades 7 through 12. So chances are the guys are not in this league.
Yeah.
Unless they just wanted to pwn some high schoolers. Take that, you little shit.
Haha, we're the winners.
But I couldn't, like you said, I couldn't find anything relating to what they said, so it was definitely fictional. But I did look into some of the parameters of the first tech challenge, the real competition that is still ongoing in Southern California. The robot needs to fit in an 18-inch cube, and they don't fight each other. The competition is gathering cones. So they have to go through a maze and gather cones, and the team that gathers the most cones wins. So it's more of a technical challenge than a street fight.
And for 18 inches, I mean, we're talking like a foot and a half, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be quite a bit smaller and probably not as heavy either.
Yeah. It's not meant for fighting. You don't need
not fighting bot.
You don't need weight on this. You don't need to worry about weight classes.
That's probably good too, because I was thinking of like how much energy these kids are probably putting into this, and watching all of that just get like burned up in flames and disassembled might make you cry a little bit. I was reminded of
that's true.
I was really into model rockets as a kid, and I remember this one kid did a tall one. I want to say it was like a 7-foot rocket or something, and it was really narrow, but it was just known for being extra tall. I can't remember what it was called. And something went wrong when it took off and like broke in half and just started on fire. And I remember the tears coming out of his eyes. Like he had spent so much time, and everybody was like just looking forward because it was the coolest rocket for being that tall. And then it like fell over and blew up. and like, that's what I would imagine if the robots had to fight. A lot of crying going on. So.
Well, I did look into real fighting leagues.
Yeah.
So because of the Southern California one was a non-fighting one, well, Sheldon is in a fighting one. So I wanted to look up more information on real fighting leagues. So there is this group called the NHRL, which stands for the National Havoc Robot League. It's known as the largest robot combat league in the world, and it's based out of Norwalk, Connecticut.
Wow.
And I use this one as the catalyst just because it seemed like it was the more official one. Like it's international, there's a lot more teams, they have league play and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I looked up some more information on this one. So it's probably different than the Battlebots one. So I guess you'll get into that after this one if you want. But there are 3 weight classes. There's 3 pounds, 12 pounds, and 30 pounds. But they get bonus weights if they qualify for a non-traditional locomotion. And that means a traditional locomotion is basically wheels or some sort of rotational treads. So if a robot doesn't have any of those, then they get a bonus.
I think I read that somewhere too, that if they're like what they call stomper bots that can kind of walk, they get bonuses for stuff like that. So they don't have to have treads or wheels like we typically think of.
Yeah, because it would be more challenging to have a robot that could walk and be lethal.
A goddamn Gundam.
Transformer. Transform, the little person just kicks it away. That'd be pretty dope.
Yeah.
But in terms of mass and sizing, the 3-pound robot needs to fit in a 30 by 30 by 24-inch box. And the 12 and 30-pound robots need to fit in a 36 by 36 by 36-inch box. Which I think, based on that, I mean, granted, I don't think they'll meet the weight requirements, but based off those specifications, I think both Kripke's and Sheldon's bot could fit in that size box. At least that's what it looked like.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
But I'm bad at estimating measurements, so who knows?
And this tournament is a single elimination, no round robin, and there are 3-minute matches. Robots either have to tap out, get knocked out, or if time runs out, the judges will decide who the victor is.
How do they tap out?
I think if they don't want to see their robot get destroyed, they could just give up.
I just imagine like the robot turning and trying to leave, and the guy with the remote saying, "No, get back in there!
Yeah,
Like,
get in there!
I'm dying!
No, no,
No.
master, no! I want to live.
Shut up, bot! Monty, get back in there! Wow.
Well, that's what I had. So I don't know if that now is a good time to just go over your IQ point.
All right, so the rules. I got this.
And this is specifically BattleBots.
Actually, I got this from robogames.net. And so kind of a different league, but from what I was understanding, these were kind of some typical rules. And there was a huge list, so I just kind of picked up the ones that were appealing to me. Mostly about the weapons, because what we see with the weapons in this one, turns out the one Monty goes up against has a blowtorch on it. And so I was like, what type of weapons is that allowed? And the rules that I found was, one, my understanding was no ice, which was like internal combustion engines. So basically they have to be powered by batteries, from my understanding. You can't have like a gas motor, I guess, from my understanding. And with that, most of the rules did have weapons that were not allowed, mostly stuff that would make messes. So like no foam, no like glitter bombs or something for the most part. No real electrical weapons. So nothing to jam like RF codes, radio signals, like for the remote controls. And I thought this was interesting. No EMPs. So you can just like power down everything. No, this is where the fine line goes. No explosive devices, no solid explosives. So like no C4, no gunpowder. But you could have fire.
So you can't just drop a stick of dynamite and drive away.
Like shove it in the robot's pants and run away. You could have fire and flame weapons. So apparently what they have in here seems logical. But it must follow local regulations. So if you're doing this in a state where these aren't allowed, I guess you can't do it. But it must leave the bot as a gas. Must be fueled by propane or butane. The fuel must be as far from the outer armor as possible and protected from the heat source. So it can't be up front, in which case it could like explode, I guess. And the igniter must have a remote off from far away. Basically, the remote control that they're controlling it must be able to turn it off for safety measures. But that's really all I got. That's what I was finding was interesting, is that you could have open flames. I'm used to the buzz saws and chainsaws and the flippers, but you can't have.
Well, it doesn't really seem like flames could really do. I mean, especially since all of them are made out of metal and like steel and everything like that. It's like in a 3-minute match, what is a blowtorch going to do?
Right. That was my thought too, is that it looks scary, but like, can it really, it's not going to melt it much. You would have to really try to get to the internal chips to melt them in some way. And I don't know if 3 minutes, that's going to do that much, really.
Especially if it's like running away and moving around and everything.
Right. Yeah. If it has the speed. But again, no explosives. So, I feel like they probably could do something with a stick of dynamite, but not allowed. So yeah,
or just it sprinkles gunpowder everywhere.
It like leaves a trail of gunpowder as it's going around in circles.
Was there anything about an actual gun attached to it? Well, gunpowder, so I guess not.
Oh, there was something about projectiles, and I believe projectiles are okay, but they have rules against like tethering devices. So, like, the projectile couldn't be on a rope, and you can't, like...
So you can't harpoon it and drag it?
Yeah, that was my understanding. No harpoons. And which is weird, because I think in BattleBots I did see that before. And I don't know the regulations on that, or maybe I just dreamt it.
BattleBots is a street fight. There ain't no rules there.
Got no rules. It's a street fight.
That's where Kripke comes from.
I was born and raised on the street with my bot. They did say no like nets either, things that would like get tangled up and cause confusion there, and I don't know exactly why the rules were for that. I mean, with the no EMPs or electrical stuff, I feel like that could be seen as cheating. But
Yeah.
with I was kind of surprised about the ropes, or not the ropes, the nets, because with gladiators, it was like one of the weapons gladiators were allowed to go in with were nets. And it makes sense because
that seems cheap.
Right? You net somebody and then you stab them. You stabby.
Stabby.
And everybody's always surprised that like that was one of the weapons that they could choose from. But apparently robots don't get that option.
I feel like as a spectator in ancient Roman times, if I saw that, I'd be a little pissed.
Right? You just netted him?
That's
fuck?
it. I paid 2 dragons to be here.
I gave up my Saturday afternoon. I had nothing else to do because fuck knows what we do here at this time.
Well, if it's Saturnalia, it'll be a lot of orgies.
Yeah, that's true. But no color blues.
All right. Anything else on the rules?
That's all I got.
All right. Well, then Howard gets creepy and inappropriate, and he asks Penny to accompany him to the awards banquet and dance. Because he says that everyone else would enjoy seeing a girl. I'm sorry. A doable girl. Penny calls him a pig, and Howard is just completely clueless that that's not how you talk to women. He's like, that's a compliment. Saying you're doable? Ryan, you're doable.
You're doable, Rob.
Thank you.
I do you.
I do you. I do me.
I do me. I do me hard.
Well, Leonard tries to end the conversation and focus on the robot, but of course Howard just won't let it go. He thought this entire time that he and Penny were doing a romantic tango. And then Penny says that she's always just let go of things that Howard says because, like Sheldon, he's just a little particular. And I love this part that Sheldon's like, in this room, Penny, you're the particular one.
I like that as their, was it particular or peculiar?
Peculiar. Yeah, sorry.
I'm like, but they're like working on the robot and he just like gives it, like doesn't even give it a second thought because like in this room, you're peculiar.
And then Penny calls Howard out on all the creepy and gross things that he said to her. That it's not a compliment to call her doable. It's not sexy to stare at her ass and say, oh, it must be jelly because jam don't shake like that. And most important, they are not dancing a tango. Nothing will ever happen. And I love this, that Howard just he doesn't go, he's like, wait a minute. This isn't flirting. You're being serious.
This isn't flirting. And, out of all the things he said, they're grotesque, but I did think it was funny when he went, psst.
Yeah.
Like,
while it stays hot. And then she continues to yell at him that he's going to grow old and die alone. And then Howard leaves. And then Raj whispers to Leonard that they should just enter Penny into the robot killing contest.
She did not like that, right? But it made me laugh.
Yeah, it made me laugh. I think it was just because it was like pretty fresh that she was still pissed off.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was going to say bravo to Penny for putting him in his place. Like, that's you can only put up with so much.
Yeah.
All right, next scene. We are at Howard's house, and he gets a phone call. And it's the return of Mrs. Wolowitz. Leonard is calling to see if he's going to school. But he doesn't want to talk to anyone. And I laughed at this part. She's like, hey, should I ask him if he could bring you your homework? He's like, I don't have homework. I'm a grown man with a master's degree.
A grown man.
Excuse me, Mr. Fancy Pants. Want me to get you a popsicle? Jerry, please.
I ate them all. We only have green left.
You make me want to kill myself.
I like how they're still on the phone for that too. It goes to the cafeteria and it's like they're talking about popsicles.
They're just so comfortable just yelling at each other. It's like whatever. And then it cuts to the guys at the university, and Raj is like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Oh, they're just yelling about popsicles." And now we enter Barry Kripke. Guest star alert: this is John Ross Bowie, and I'm not too familiar with his work outside of The Big Bang Theory, but I looked at his IMDb, and he actually does have a very rich resume in TV
Yeah.
and some movies.
I looked, and it seems like most of them are an episode or two. Apparently, Big Bang, he's in 25 episodes. I don't remember seeing him before, but apparently he's going to be back from time to time.
Wow, spoiler much.
Well, yeah.
You spoiled yourself.
I
Kripke's not going away.
I had to. I needed to know. Should I grow attached to him or not?
Like, who are you?
So, 25 episodes, and I picked up that I noticed him from Veep. He was in The League for an episode. He was in a show I watched called Love. Apparently, he's in Jumanji: The Next Level. But the one that really got me was he was a waiter in Road Trip. And I need to watch that again because I don't remember him in there.
Yeah,
but
I don't remember him at all.
I love that movie, so I'm gonna go back and watch it sometime.
Yeah.
Freaking Road Trip.
All right, well, let the trash talk begin. Barry says that their robot should be named Scrap Metal. And then Sheldon's trash talk is amazing.
I'm getting a point for being like Sheldon with trash talking.
You're super awesome at it.
Yeah, I'm super amazing. I'm the best.
Just very literal. Your robot is inferior, and it will be defeated by ours because ours exceeds yours in both design and execution. Also, I'm given to understand that your mother is overweight.
Your fat. Unless that's obesity and a disease, then I apologize.
Because there are boundaries.
Yeah. Like yeah, with trash talking, I never know how far is too far, and it seems like I either say things that are just completely dumb, or I go over and people are like, "Why would you say that?" And I'm like, "Oh God, no!" So yeah,
I'm gonna murder you and piss on your grave,
and everybody's gonna laugh at you because you are a failure. Ryan,
what? Wait, what?
It was trash talk. I thought it was part of the game.
Whoops.
Whoopsie daisies.
Well, Barry calls them out and he wants to fight them because, again, as we mentioned, there's no guarantee that they'll fight each other at the round robin, which makes you wonder why they even call it the round robin invitational. But then they can't do it because their engineer is incapacitated. And they have to explain that Howard can't make it because he's creepy and pathetic and can't get girls. And I like Kripke's response is like, we're all pathetic, creepy, and can't get girls. That's why we fought robots.
that made me laugh out loud, too.
Yeah.
We're all pathetic and creepy and can't get girls.
That's why we're here doing this. Hello. And I love Raj. He's like, I'm curious, what part of America is that accent from? So I actually did do an IQ point on this.
Okay.
Did you do it?
No.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious because I knew it's like a thing, and I knew it's like mostly in little children, but not so much in adults. But like it's part of just his character.
Yeah.
So what's it called when R's and L's sound like W's? So I found this on yourmom.com and cognifit.com. Barry has what's called rhoticism and lambdacism. So rhoticism is a speech impediment that is defined by the lack of ability or difficulty in pronouncing the sound R. However, some speech pathologists actually call this de-rhoticization because the sounds don't become rhotic, rather they lose their rhotic quality. The word rhoda actually means R.
Rhoda. I used to have problems saying R's when I was a kid. I had to go to speech therapy.
Oh, I did too, but not for R's. I actually had trouble saying my S's. Like I would start stuttering and everything like that every time I would have to say like S, or I would stumble on anything that started with an S.
I think my R's I would pronounce them like W's, like he does in the show. I'd be like Wyan instead of Ryan, and they're like, put the tongue at the top of your mouth. I'm like, what?
You want me to what?
Do what with my mouth?
I need to talk to an adult first.
Why are you filming this?
And then the other one is lambdacism, which is the exact same thing, but with the letter L.
Mm.
So, what can cause this? It could be a physical problem. So, it could be hypnotonicity, which is a lack of muscle tone in the speech organs and a lack of control of it. It could be a high arched palate. The palate is higher and narrower, so they can't properly support the tongue on it in order to pronounce the letter R or L. Or it's lingual frenulum problems. The frenulum is short and doesn't allow you to raise the tongue due to physical limitations.
What's the fronium? The thing underneath it.
I didn't look that part up.
Oh no!
Let's look it up now. I'll let you look.
How do you spell it? Frumian?
FRENULUM. According to dictionary.com, it is a small fold or ridge of tissue that supports or checks the motion of the part to which it is attached. In particular, a fold of skin beneath the tongue or between the lip and gum.
Yeah, it's that little stretch of tongue or that flesh that connects your tongue to the bottom of your mouth. Interesting.
Frenulum.
Frenulum. I'm going to look up a piercing now.
Oh my god.
That was like the first thing that came up. Oh god.
Why would you pierce that part?
I don't know. Because I guess you wouldn't chew on it as much as a tongue piercing. I guess that's kind of a tongue piercing. Weird.
All right, I'm going to look it up now too.
Yeah, you got to see this.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
I've never seen this before. Dang. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Well, hit us up if you have a frenulum piercing.
Yes.
We're very curious.
Tell us. Send us a picture. Show us your frenulum. Show us now. That's crazy.
Yeah, I never would have thought. Dang.
People pierce everything these days.
Yeah. Yeah, piercings were the one thing that I'm not super into.
I've gotten some piercings. I had my ears pierced. I had my tongue pierced. That was bad. I should not have done that. I chew on stuff, and so if I had a stainless steel stud in my tongue, like I would chew on it, and I know I was just damaging my teeth how much I chewed on it. And so I'd get like the acrylic ones, the plastic ones, and I'd chew on those so much that they would become like sharp and then start cutting my mouth. And so I'd be like, oh, I can't do that. They cut my mouth. And I'd put the stainless steel one in. I'm like, if I chewed the acrylic ones so that they became like sharp, I know I'm chewing the stainless steel ones, but it's just chipping away my teeth instead of the balls or the stud. So I finally took it out. I'm like, I'm going to have dental problems. And I've had some dental problems, so yeah. I imagine that's why.
Well, I'm glad you took it out. All right. So aside physical problems, it could be just functional or environmental as well. So there's something called lingual malocclusion. It is a wrong positioning of the tongue, or the tongue protrudes, sometimes even through the teeth, and no vibration occurs. It could be a lack of strength and coordination when blowing outwards, or it's possible that an individual grew up in an environment where the R's were pronounced in a unique way.
So it could be an accent or a dialect, right?
Possibly, yeah. Based off like where his environment, maybe his family all had it too.
It's interesting. I don't know where that would come from. I know, it's not exactly the same, but people adding R's to words like wash or Washington. My grandparents,
Washington,
yeah, adding that R, Washington. So people have done crazier stuff.
Yeah, I mean pronunciation. I mean it's like,
But I think everybody just called me lazy. when I was like, stop being
there,
lazy, Ryan. Pronounce your R's.
there is one word in particular that I always like. I never know I'm pronouncing it like wrong, but it's pier versus pure. Like pure, like a dock, versus like pure, like it's a pure
water
water
sample
or
or
something like
something.
that. Yeah, I was just kind of like get lazy and say pure,
I get
pure, 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 pure.
crown, crown and crayon. I just say crown instead of crayon.
Wait, crown? like
Crayon,
like
crown.
like a crown, like an accent? Like you're saying?
Like
Are you just saying it
like
weird?
the
Crayon,
wax thing that you draw with kids, Crayola,
crayon,
crown,
crayon.
crown. Whoa!
Wait, what? That's just lazy.
Now you
Crown.
sound like my parents, Rob.
Well, somebody has to teach you.
You're gonna bring out the camera again. No.
Crayon. Crayon.
Crown. Crown. Crayon. Crown. Crown. The fuck are you talking about, Ryan? I want to draw with my crowns.
Well, to finish off this IQ points, I had to ask or answer, can this speech impediment be fixed? And the answer is possibly. It takes a lot of work. You'll need to first get it assessed by a speech language pathologist. And once diagnosed, the speech therapist can assess if you're able to grow out of it or not. So basically, once you get to a certain point, it might just be the way you talk.
You're just fucked.
A lot of schools out there do provide speech therapy. As we mentioned, you were in speech therapy. I was in speech therapy as a child. And also, in addition to speech therapy, you can use speech therapy handheld tool that helps isolate the sound being pronounced and gives you an image of the proper tongue placement to enable better pronunciation. And apparently, studies have shown that people that use these handheld tools shows a 33% faster improvement rate.
What do these tools look like? Like, I'm imagining a pair of pliers. Like,
oh no, it's basically just like this thing that kind of shows you how to like place your tongue as like it's something to work with. So it shows like the image of the word being pronounced, and then it shows you what you should be doing with your tongue.
I'm looking this up now.
I would imagine they're pretty expensive.
Well, that's floss. Yeah, I could look a while for that. So
yeah. Well, anyways, that is the American accent that
it's just that I want to get one
uses.
so that I can say crown right.
What else do I say funny? I've been called out on like a handful of things. I don't know. I'll think of it. I'll blurt it out in the middle of the podcast.
Yeah, I think things I've said button, that apparently I say the T is kind of hard.
You do?
And so it's like
I've
butt,
noticed that, yeah.
ton. I just like to say butt a lot.
I just really like the word butt.
Butt.
All right. Well, now we're outside of Penny's apartment, and Leonard tries to get Penny to apologize to Howard. And obviously she says no. Leonard tries to reason with her, and he blames her for an overreaction to Howard, which is kind of messed up. A little bit of victim blaming. Says that she was overexposed gamma ray thing. It goes grrr, and I like this. Penny was like, "So I turned into a bear." Like,
she had no idea. Yeah.
Did the Incredible Hulk? Duh. And then Leonard, a reference to the first episode, Leonard calls in a favor when his pants was stolen and he had to walk home pantsless. And I thought it was a little shocking that, like, really? This is how you want to use your favor?
Right? Yeah, I was
just to beat
surprised
Kripke
too.
It's like, wow, okay. Beating Kripke must be very important to you.
You know, I kind of took it as wasn't necessarily fighting Kripke. It was he could tell Howard was actually really hurt after not coming into the school work for a couple of days, and really was actually
Messed him
caring
up.
about, wanted to help out and make things right. So I was respecting in that regard, but still, it was kind of if you had one favor from her, you hold on to that favor forever. I don't
Yeah,
know.
you dangle that over her head for as long as possible.
Yeah, until that you really have to use it, last ditch emergency.
Yeah, but he used it to help Howard. So good friend Leonard.
He's a better man than I.
Yep. Well, then Leonard gives her a little heads up on Mrs. Wolowitz that she's just very lovely. And now we're at Howard's house. And Mrs. Wolowitz is yelling to Howard, there's a blonde girl named Patsy. I was like, oh, wait, now she's saying it's Penny.
Why did she call her Patsy? I didn't get that.
She didn't understand her name. Like, I think it was just like more like, she said it was Penny, and she's like, wait, what? Patsy?
Oh, I gotcha. She was just...
Like, if you introduce yourself as Ryan, I'll be like, Steven?
Steven?
Close enough, right?
Whatever. I've been called worse.
Asshat?
Asshat?
Asshat,
my middle name.
I like that she doesn't even wait. Penny just like runs faster. It's like, oh wait, she's gone. What was I supposed to do? Tackle her?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking maybe Penny was making up a fake name so that she didn't have to talk to his mom much, but I think it makes more sense that the mom was just kind of goofy.
Yeah, she's kind of like a little... Howard's mom seems very unique.
Yeah.
Well, she always has popsicles, and she always packs Howard's lunch, so she can't be that bad.
And makes mean brisket from what I hear.
Yeah. Well, then Penny goes to Howard and makes a very half-assed apology, and then she leaves, and then the moment she leaves, Howard just starts bawling. And then Penny's like, ugh, so close.
So close.
And then she has to go fix it.
And he tried to pull it off. He's like, why would comments from a random girl hurt me? I'm not going to allow that to hurt me. And she's like, okay. And it's like very mature and closes the door.
Everything's awful. Why doesn't she like me?
Nobody likes me.
And now we're back at the apartment, and the guys are watching a video of the Kripke Crippler. In the video, his robot is destroying a Chevy Cavalier.
I like how Raj says it. Kripke's bot just had angry sex with a mid-sized automobile.
Yeah.
Angry sex. Wow.
And Sheldon will not back down. They have accepted a challenge, and they can't run away. And I like Leonard's logic. We've been running away from fights our entire lives. Why is now any different? And they decide that they know what they're going up against, and they can make modifications to Monty. And I love this. It kind of goes back to our like one of our talks about like how Sheldon is always shitting all over Howard for being an engineer.
Yeah.
And it goes into that debate of like what's more important, the theorist or the executioner of it. So yeah, Sheldon can make modifications. He has ideas, but he can't even open the toolbox.
It's like, does anybody know how to open this?
Yeah. And then once he actually gets the tools, is he even going to know how to do it? Which does seem a little weird, because I feel like based off old stories of him when he talks about his childhood, he built machines before.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And he took his 8-ball apart although he could have just smashed it on the ground like I did, but still.
Yeah. And then I remember when he was talking to Dr. Stephanie, he was telling her a story that he built something that almost killed the cat, or did kill the cat.
Yeah. What was that? A MRI machine or something?
I think so, yeah.
X-ray? Because they have the new saying, snowball's chance.
Yep, there it is, yeah. So it doesn't really make sense now. All of a sudden, he forgets how to use tools and how to open up a toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways,
maybe he just
it's
buys
all for the
parts
joke
and puts them together.
Yeah.
That's I was rewatching The Fly with the guy from Jurassic Park.
Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And he mentions that like a lady's interviewing him. She's like, "So you built these all yourself, all these parts?" And he goes, "No, I outsource everything from people who are a lot smarter than me. I just assemble them here." And I'm
Oh,
like, that actually makes a lot of sense. That as the inventor, you don't need to know how to make every single little part. You just need to know how to use them. So maybe something like that.
yeah. It's like the best business owners aren't the smartest person in the room. They hire
They
the
hire.
smartest people in the room.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then belittle them and make fun of their
Yep.
speech.
Yeah, and call and say that they're just like engineers. They're
Just
the
engineer.
slower younger brother to physics. All right, and now we jump back to Howard's. Howard is going over all the girls that have hurt him throughout the years. He is talking about Marcy Grossman when he was 14 years old, a sexy little chipmunk.
I appreciated that comment. I've met
Yeah.
some people that I've said look kind of like small forest creatures. That's what it is. I remember having a friend in Japan that we're like, she's looks like a small forest creature. We're afraid that she's gonna like chitter chatter and like run away really quick or something. And she's a really nice girl. It was just me and my friends were all like, she looks like a little chipmunk. But it's adorable. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's like saying she's doable. What's wrong with
Yeah,
that? It's
it's
a
it's it's
compliment.
it's a compliment. You're like a little forest creature. Take the compliment.
Yeah.
Well, in the ninth grade, at the talent show, he sang a song to her, and she rewarded him by spitting in his hair. And then he tries to move on to the 10th grade, where Penny cuts him off,
Yeah,
which
finally.
makes me wonder how many of these stories he has, and at what point is he gonna give up? It's kind of like, man, I would have given up after like the first time. If someone spit in my hair in the ninth grade, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna crawl into a hole and die.
I think I might be interested in dudes now.
Yeah. Yeah, so I gotta give it to Howard for his persistence.
Yeah. It's definitely what's the word? Not confident. I think persistence is the right word. That he's dedicated and
Yeah, he
doesn't
didn't
give up.
let these things knock him down. But apparently Penny's words did.
And by all means, singing the song to the girl in school was not like it might have been embarrassing, but it's not like the compliments and flirting he does now. The predatorial comments, saying that must be jelly, not jam type stuff,
Yeah.
that I think maybe these experiences, although he hasn't given up, probably have shaped him a lot in what he thinks he's supposed to do.
Yeah, because he sang a sweet song before and it failed. So then now it's like, well, maybe I just need to. Well, we established that he follows the pickup artist.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's kind of what he thinks. He almost needs to like neg them and like kind of just be more aggressive.
Because singing a song gets you spit on. So, yeah.
Never singing to my wife. She's just gonna spit on me. Jokes on her. I like
I like the spit.
that.
Cover me, baby.
Well, then Penny consoles Howard, and he thinks it's time to make the move.
I'm giving a point for being like Howard here because I'm really bad at reading situations and what to do. And yeah, Howard misreading the situation.
Yeah,
And
I have a, I have a story I'll share.
you have a story. I just
Well, it's with my wife now, but it was on our second date. Um, we went out to dinner, and I was walking into her car, and I went in for the kiss, and she definitely just backed away.
oh no.
I was like, "What?" I was like, "Oh, I thought that was going so well," and she was like, "Whoa." And then I tried to play it off cool, and we just left.
I
And somehow I got a third date.
was gonna say the first kiss, or when I think it was the first date. I went in to kiss my partner now, my girlfriend now, and she turned away. And apparently didn't do it on purpose, but I was kind of like, oh shit, I guess things didn't go very well. And it was like weeks later, dates later, I'm like, why did you turn away from the kiss on the first date? She's like, you were gonna kiss me? It was like,
oh, she didn't even know.
Yeah, she had no idea. So I fucked.
I was just ready to leave.
Yeah, that's it happens. But not just with kissing. Making moves, making the first move. It's all very awkward for me.
Well, hopefully now you will never have to worry about that.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
And I was actually going to do a IQ point, but it became a failed one about what to do when somebody does turn their head or pulls away, or you kind of make a fool
or gets
of yourself.
Punched in the face.
Punched in the face. And, basically nothing official, no psychology or anything, but, most of the advice was be confident and, treat her with respect and move on. That if she's not interested, she's not interested, and you don't have to go home crying because it happens. But in fact, that was a big thing, is it seems it happens to a lot of people, maybe not everybody, but it seemed like don't feel alone, that it does happen. But I didn't find anything super in depth, so that's not a real IQ point.
I would imagine it does happen a lot to guys, just because like guys usually want it more than the girl. I would imagine, like, we always just want that kiss, especially you're on a date and everything like that. You think you're going well, you want to get a little some and everything, so they go for it. But it's like I can see it happening a lot.
And I think to some extent too, society expects us to make the first move, so we're trying to overcompensate for that. Like, oh, we're supposed to do this, how do I do it, when do I do it? And there's a lot of confusing thoughts about it.
Yeah.
So,
well, all right,
and that's why I fuck it up every time.
Well, now we are back at the lab, and wow. Leonard is observing the Kripke crippler. And then this is where I was like staring at it. I was like, man, is that really regulation size?
It seemed kind of big, yeah.
But I think based off the rules that we talked about, 36-inch cubed, it's possible.
Yeah. I had angry sex with mid-season.
Yeah. Well, they're going over some of what Kripke's robot can do, and he's talking about a blade that rotates 3,400 RPM, and it can cut steel like it was wabba.
Like wabba.
And then Sheldon continuously won't back down, and then he's just going to use psychological warfare. And a more great smack talk from Sheldon.
Yeah.
I would ask your robot if it's prepared to meet its maker, but as you are its maker, clearly the two of you have met. And I'm just like, Kripke's like looking at everybody else like, dude, what is his problem?
I also liked it when Sheldon's like, Kripke's overconfident, and Raj is like, it's not overconfidence, that's an observation.
Yeah.
Like, he's got a big robot.
Yes. Well, Leonard wants the fight to be in standard robot fighting league rules, but nope. This is a street fight, and in the street there are no rules. Kripke offers them an out if they will offer up their robot as spoils of war. And I'm like Sheldon. I would say no. I'm not just going to give it up. I'd rather see him burn to the ground.
Right, yeah.
And then the fight begins, and then the fire comes out.
That made me laugh.
And then there's a nice hallway chase scene.
Sheldon being, that's new.
Didn't see that in the video. Well, now we cut to the apartment, and Monty has been annihilated. And Sheldon, he's like, no matter what anyone says, this is my fault. And Raj says, yeah, no one's arguing with you.
No one's arguing with you.
Enter Howard, and the guys are like, whoa, what happened? And then a joke on the classic, like, oh, he slipped and fell. He fell in the bathtub. It's crazy what a bathtub can do when they're not being respected. And then Howard mutters, yeah, they sucker punch you when your eyes are closed.
I don't know how I felt about this scene. Like that's still physical violence, and
They're making a mockery of it.
yeah, a little
Because
bit.
it is kind of a dark joke on like domestic violence and everything. How
Yeah,
like everyone just says that, oh, I slipped and I fell, or I ran into a doorknob. So a little bit of a dark turn there.
and for her to be like, so you learned your lesson, and it's like, wait, I don't know if he should learn a lesson from physical violence. I don't. It's yeah, it's kind of weird. And not to say he didn't have something coming to him, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't resort to physical violence, but there comes a point where it's like, Howard, sometimes you might just need a good kick in the ass.
Somebody needs to spit on you from time to time, Howard.
Yeah. Call up Marcy Grossman.
Yeah.
And I like this part. Sheldon's like, Howard, what do you think? Can you fix Monty? Sure, with a little electrical tape, a little solder. Are you insane? And then Sheldon says, you're right. Monty's gone. We'll bury him in the morning. A simple ceremony. I'll speak. Leonard, you'll play your cello. I love how serious he's taking it. He loved Monty. Monty was his baby. And then Penny insults him by saying, dude, aren't you getting a little carried away? It's just a toy robot. And then he runs away crying. And now Penny needs to apologize to him. And then Howard bounces back and says that he's halfway to pity sex, thus answering that he learned nothing.
That's I wish he would have had some growth of some sort, but that comment definitely, like, even with the physical violence, he hasn't learned anything.
He learned nothing. And that's the episode.
So overall, pretty funny.
Yeah, overall, I really like this one. It had a lot of funny moments. I loved the story arcs.
Mm-hmm.
It's disappointing. Like, I mean, no spoilers, but you can kind of tell based off the ending of this. It's going to be a long time before Howard really learns.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot.
And I love the call out to all the robot fighting, because around this time it was kind of a big thing. I remember watching BattleBots around this time.
They're having reruns, cool. Maybe not new seasons at that time, but they had reruns, right?
Probably. It was probably all over Comedy Central because I watched it somehow.
Yeah. And we didn't exactly have Netflix to stream it on at that time.
No.
Those were the days.
Yeah. Well, I probably wouldn't watch it now because I'd probably get bored. But
because it was all just the flipping, and I'm like, that's cheap. I mean, everybody can flip.
Yeah,
but
that's why you need to make a robot like the Ricochet. Do you remember that old remote control car where you could flip it on its side? Like it just goes both sides
and just keeps
problem
going.
Solved. Yeah,
Ricochet. I remember now.
All right, I think we only had 3 IQ points.
Yeah, not that many today.
Yeah. 1. I guess I'll combine both of our robot stuff into one.
That's fair.
Yeah. So we had 3 IQ points. This is the lowest. I think this might be the lowest IQ point count in the entire in our entire podcast.
Wow. There wasn't,
but that's not bad. You know what? There were fun IQ points. Got some good information.
It was a fun episode too. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about robots and enjoying that. And
as I look back to all of my rewatches, I think in the future it'll be a lot like this. Like there's not going to be that many. I don't think there's going to be that many IQ points in every episode.
The science stuff kind of goes down a little bit here and there as the story gets more involved.
Yeah.
That's what I'm noticing. So as for points, Sheldon points, I got 2 like Sheldon and 1 like Howard. So that makes me 54 not like Sheldon, 51 like Sheldon. So building
Still up. Still pretty neck and neck.
Yeah, it's coming.
All right. Well, any last minute words?
I'm just glad that we learned all about fernium piercings today. That made my
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
You gonna go get that pierced now?
Yeah, I
It's gonna be
am.
harder for you to chew down there, so maybe you'll do it. All right. Well, thanks again for joining us. Please remember to leave us a review on Apple. Ryan and I will talk offline about what kind of prize we'll we'll put out there and the time duration. But yeah, send us some 5-star reviews and we'll enter you into a raffle to win something.
Something. And it's gonna be amazing. Brisket.
That if we actually did ice it, that actually is worth a lot.
Yeah, it's
I
really
was at the
expensive.
store and the brisket was like $150. So I was like, holy shit.
Damn.
Oh, so let's plan on. Do you still want to plan on making that brisket when I'm in town?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
In August, I will be visiting Washington, and
Yay!
Ryan and I are actually going to be in person in the same room. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
We'll drink something. Are you going to have a brew? Are you going to have a batch of brew?
I could try to get one going.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to. If you're busy, don't like kill yourself over it. But
I think
that would be kind of fun.
I actually have one that I've been meaning to make. I've just been swamped, but after this week, I'm gonna have some time and get back into the brewing. Also, I screwed up. I don't know if I told you, but my last batch, I don't know what went wrong, but it had a butterscotch taste to it, and it was darker than it was supposed to be like the same recipe as everybody else in this beer club I'm in, and except for hops, the hops were different, and mine was darker and tasted like butterscotch, and all the other ones looked like actual IPAs. I'm just like, oh god, this is embarrassing. I don't know what happened. I think something went wrong with temperature, and I really need to get like a refrigerator to control temperatures. Or, if there's a spike in temperature while it's fermenting, it could really cause bad flavors.
Well, speaking of butterscotch, getting ahead on the next episode. I don't know if you watched ahead.
I saw the Instagram
Pudding?
post too on pudding.
Oh yeah, because I sent it to you.
Yeah.
So anybody out there, follow us on Instagram. If anybody knows anything about the next episode, the friendship algorithm, we will have an IQ point about pudding. So cast your vote. Check out our stories on Instagram to cast your vote on your favorite pudding flavor.
See, I feel weird because not too many spoilers, but they only give you certain options, and I really like banana pudding.
Yeah, I did. I only could put 4 options on the Instagram.
I think in the show that they don't mention banana pudding either. So
no,
it's kind of like the obscure pudding. It's meant for royalty and rare.
That's why I don't get it very often. I'm just a little slub. Well, like I said, find that poll, cast your vote, or shoot us an email, or DM us. Just let us know what your favorite flavor of pudding is, and I will let everybody know at the next recording.
And if you
what the poll says,
want to do a write-in for banana pudding, I understand. Just send us an email.
Honestly, write in anything. I only had Instagram only lets you do 4 options.
Because we also get polls. Pistachio pudding is really popular too, right? That's the green stuff.
Is that Snack Pack? Does Snack Pack have that?
Snack Pack. Does it?
That must be some fancy place. Yeah. Snack Pack is the only thing available over here. That and Jell-O.
Oh no!
So not the most amount of options where I'm at. Well, cast your vote. Put it in a write-in. Who knows? The write-in could win.
Yeah.
So find that at Theoretical Nonsense Pod on Instagram. Or shoot us an email at theoreticalnonsensepod@gmail.com. Both of these things are in the show notes. And we will see you next time when we talk about Season 2, Episode 13, The Friendship Algorithm.
See you later.
Thanks for listening. This was Theoretical Nonsense, the Big Bang Theory watch-along podcast. No PhD required. Our intro and outro music is by Alex Grohl, and our logo is by John Kim. Thanks for listening. I want to live.